And welcome back to another episode of the Hit Squad. I'm Chad Range, and no, Jesse Finney did not get better looking. This is Ryan Sutton. He'll be filling in for Jesse Finney. Ryan, you're no rookie to the Shamrock Fighting Championships. They are a home of St. Louis MMA, and that's who this segment is brought to you by. Talk about your experience in the octagon fighting for Shamrock Fighting Championships.
The first thing I can always say about Shamrock is it's just completely top-notch. Everything they do is very Vegas style. They bring a lot of thrill to it. They bring a lot of excitement to their venue. It's professional to the utmost. There's everything for every member of the crowd, and it's a great top-notch St. Louis thing, and we're lucky to have it here in the area, and the Midwest is actually lucky to have it.
Absolutely. They're expanding into Kansas City and possibly Indianapolis, I heard, so something to be on the radar looking forward to. Now, you yourself, you hoping to get one more fight in before the end of the year, correct?
I am. I love fighting for Shamrock, so I'd love to get one in there, but I mean, if I can get on the road and get one in anywhere else, really, I'd just happy to get one more in for the end of the year.
Absolutely. We'll be talking about the local venues as well as the big picture. Now, UFC 167 is happening in Las Vegas, and man, what a card this is going to be. Talk about how excited you are about that. They're coming off a pay-per-view that Jesse said was the best of all time. Well, this one might actually outdo that one.
This is really a fight fan's fantasy. You get a little bit with some of these cards, okay, this will be good. You find a little bit to drum up excitement. This is one whenever they released the actual lineup from top to bottom, I was genuinely excited about. If I didn't already have a place to go watch it, I would have put down my own pay-per-view money to see this. It's a must-watch. Every matchup on the main card, and even the undercard for that matter, is stacked.
Great segue. We want to know where you're going to watch it. We can hit us up on Facebook, Hit Squad 101 ESPN, at Twitter handle, at Hit Squad 101 ESPN. Where are you watching it, Ryan?
I'm actually going to watch it at the Lumiere Casino.
That's a great place to go. They're going to have it on there for free. Good food, good drinks. Can't beat that. And I think that this card is like the past, the present, and the future. I mean, you talk about, you got Rashad Evans and Chael Sonnen. Those are two guys kind of in the twilight of their career. They're the past. The present, I mean, George St-Pierre, John Hendricks, what a main event that is. I tell you what, the future, our own Tyron Woodley, who we're going to be efforting talking to a little later in the show, as well as Robbie Lawler and Rory McDonald. I mean, great fights all the way around.
I couldn't have said it better myself. I mean, with everything going on with the 20-year anniversary and everything making this push, this card couldn't have been put together more perfect. I mean, you have Koscheck, season 1 of The Ultimate Fighter, the thing that really revolutionized the entire format of the sport, basically. You've got that represented. You've got your champions like GSP that are reigning, defending, mega superstars. It's got everything.
I tell you what, me and Jesse always disagree, and I want the fighter's point of view from this. Now, of course, the talk is Rory McDonald will never fight GSP the same way, DC, Daniel Cormier, is not going to fight Kane. If you were in that situation, now obviously we're not talking just to fight to have them fight. I'm talking for a championship thing like DC. What are your feelings on fighting someone who would be out of the same camp?
Loyalty's loyalty, but at the end of the day, these guys are fighting professionally. And professionally means you're fighting for money, you're fighting for a prize. And you don't want to step on toes and eliminate those opportunities, but if that's the only opportunity that you have, I don't see how you don't take it. I mean,
money talks too.
Money talks. There's kind of a funny quip from an old movie, The Smashing Machine, with Mark Kerr and Mark Coleman, and they're sitting around talking. He goes, well, how much would it take to fight each other? And we both laughed and said, $10,000. At the time was a lot of money. And then they were in Japan. They were maybe going to fight each other. And he could, well, they put down a $500,000. So I guess we're just going to have to. Yeah.
Money does talk, and I tell you what, that's an interesting thing from a guy who's a fighter himself. And some other things we do want to talk about. We're going to get into the predictions of 167. Like you said, when this card was released, for the longest time, we've circled, November 16th. This is going to be one for the ages. Can't wait to see it. But some other UFC news I do want to get into. And now, you're aware of the Richie Incognito situation with the Miami Dolphins. And I tell you what, as St. Louis fans, we had him here for a while. We know that Richie, I don't know if you... unstable, a little crazy, I don't know what you want to call it. Interesting thing is that some radio hosts, I think it was out of the D.C. area, they got Jon Jones on the phone, and the story is that Jon Jones would be honored to kill Richie Incognito in an MMA fight. And when I heard this, I mean, you read it and you just, this is one of those things that you don't want the sport to get a bad name when stuff like this comes out. Now, obviously, I understand where it's coming from as far as the Richie Incognito. He got involved with the frat house antics, and I mean, there was some hazing, and they're kind of, he's maybe the fall guy because of everything that came out, and I understand where it comes from, but I just kind of wanted your thoughts and feelings on when you heard Jon Jones would be willing to kill Richie Incognito, meaning beat him up.
I was torn on it because, Jon Jones, with his public image, it's always been clean cut until he's gotten in trouble. And then he's kind of had to do a little with this. So I think it goes against it, because I think all it really shows is the only way to solve a bully is to kind of be a bully.
Right.
I think if that's why you don't like Richie Incognito, because he's the bully in this situation, what does another bully in that situation have to do?
Right.
I think, that being said, Jon Jones probably has a little bit more of an emotional connection to this.
Yeah.
If you really look at the facts, Jon Jones has brothers that play in the NFL.
Yep.
And the fact that this had a somewhat supposed racial element to it,
absolutely,
being with an African-American athlete, being bullied by someone, I could see why this would hit close to home from him, and he would be outspoken, to say the least.
Right, to stand up for it.
Yeah,
that's a great point.
I understand. I can empathize with that. Not completely, just because I'm not in the same situation.
Right.
But at the end of it, it looks like somebody trying to be the bigger bully.
Right. And I just think that is what I like is that MMA is a sport. And I don't want people to just think that it's thugs out there beating each other up. And I just kind of feel like it kind of gives that image of bullying and thug. And that's not what MMA is about. No. And I kind of think it was a situation where a radio show was, looking to grab, listeners and be controversial. And, I don't really blame Jon Jones, because he actually said he wasn't real up to beat on the, situation. But I think when he got explained to him, he said, yeah, I would take him on, And I would feel bad for Richie Incognito in that situation. But hopefully push won't come to shove literally on that one.
No.
World Series of Fighting, considering Palhares, of course, he has been kind of blackballed from all the leagues after the extended knee lock he put on. He also he has tested for testosterone levels being a little higher, a little performance-enhancing drugs. Do you think he finds his way back into a fight league? And would you, if you were in charge of that, be willing to give him a shot?
We're talking about him now, so obviously he's marketable. Obviously there is an X factor. We're discussing him. People are interested. I think he'll find a way to go somewhere. That being said, I think there should be stipulations. Really interesting note on this situation with Palhares. This isn't the first time necessarily in fighting he's done it. It's not the first time in competition he's done it. I know from a lot of people who do very, very high-level submission grappling tournaments, jiu-jitsu tournaments, he is notorious for locking things on, holding it just a little too long. And then I've even talked to guys who, it's interesting because it's unsportsmanlike to the max.
Exactly. Absolutely.
It's being a thug
almost
in the
trying
ring.
to hurt somebody. Yeah, and then you're talking about taking someone's career.
A career, yeah. I've talked to people who've even trained with him in sparring, and they said he does the same thing in sparring. He locks things on a little too long, but it's, as a person, they say they don't know if he really gets it. And that's what I think is interesting. They say that Palhares is actually, in his mind, they don't see the wheels turning and that it clicks that that's not right. Even the jiu-jitsu tournaments, where he's held things too long and the refs had to pry things off. I've heard he's gotten up and waved to the crowd and he's just had a huge victory and they're booing him. But he thinks it's...
He doesn't quite get it. Do you think it's just when he gets into kill mode and it doesn't shut down for him? Or, you've been in the octagon, so
I understand winning that time, but the minute that they tell me to let go, I let go, because that means I win and I'm walking home with something.
Yeah, the white flag's getting waved and it's, time to move on.
My thoughts on this, though, I think if he does find a home, they should give him some kind of psychological profiling to make sure that he is actually adept, understanding, and coherent of what's going on. I think they should give him the rundown, however they feel necessary, to just show that he's not going to put other athletes' lives or careers in danger more so than they should be.
That's well put. I like that a lot. There's definitely, I am of the, mindset of he's done. You know what I mean? It sounds like he's been messing around, but, it'll be interesting to see. Like you say, we are talking about it. And real quick, Bellator's Rampage Jackson has no interest in fighting Tito Ortiz. Anything you think about that?
Would you want to?
It feels like the senior UFC. There's the senior PGA, and I don't want Bellator. After I don't know if you caught the last card. Me and Jesse were talking about it last show. It was a great card.
And they've had great cards.
Yeah.
That's the thing with this. They need to drop it.
I agree with that. 100%.
I'm a Bellator fan. I root for them. I think it adds parity in MMA because you actually have two credible organizations.
Good leagues,
but nobody wanted to see that.
Right.
Nobody wanted to pay for that. And whenever Tito pulled out, he proved he's even more of a liability than he always has been.
There you go. That's a great point. Great point. Well, coming up next on 101sports.com, we're going to be giving our predictions about the UFC 167 main card. That's coming up next. 101sports.com.